Before we dive into the noise of our world, pause with me for a moment. Listen, not with your ears, but with your heart. They say love was the very first language humanity ever spoke. Not English. Not Hebrew. Love. A language older than oceans, older than the sun, older than time itself. In the beginning, before cities, before algorithms, before heartbreak became a trend, there was a man and a woman. Two souls, untouched by expectations, unshaped by comparison, unburdened by the pressure to be enough. Their story didn't begin with a swipe. It didn't begin with a DM. It began with breath, divine breath, spoken into human clay. Adam opened his eyes to a world untouched by chaos. No rush. No deadlines. No past wounds shadowing his future. And yet, even in paradise, something was missing. Not luxury. Not achievement. But companionship. Someone who saw him. Someone who understood him. Someone made not from dust, but from his very side. And then came Eve. Not as a competitor, not as an option. Not as a follower on his page. But as a part of him. Bone of his bone. Flesh of his flesh. Not a choice among many, but a destiny woven into the rhythm of creation. In their world, love was not a transaction. There was no scorekeeping, no performance. No needing to sell yourself to be chosen. Love was discovery, not demand. They didn't impress each other. They simply existed together, wholly and without fear. Nakedness wasn't shameful. It was the purest form of honesty. He saw her flaws, and there were none. She saw his insecurities, and there were none. Because love, in its original form, wasn't defensive. It was safe. But imagine, just imagine for a moment, if that same Adam woke up today. Not in a garden, but in a world of glowing screens. A world where beauty is edited. Where affection is measured in likes. Where value is determined by how well you can perform. For an audience you don't even know. If Adam opened Instagram in 2025, would Eve still be enough? Would her natural beauty feel too simple? In a world where perfection is manufactured, filtered, and then fed back to us as the standard we must chase, would Adam scroll past her? Not because he didn't love her, but because his eyes had been trained to crave what isn't real. And would Eve feel pressure to become someone she isn't, just to compete for the attention of the man who was originally created? To love her without conditions? This is not just their story. It's ours. A reminder that somewhere between Eden and Earth, we lost something precious. Not love itself, but the way we see it. And so the question begins. Not with judgment, but with truth. If Adam met Eve in 2025, would love survive the world we've built? In the beginning, love wasn't complicated. It didn't have prerequisites. It didn't demand a resume, a perfect body, or a curated past. Love simply was. A pure current flowing between two souls who didn't yet know what it meant to fear loss. Eden wasn't just a place. It was a posture, a state of being. Adam didn't fall in love with Eve because she fit a checklist. He didn't compare her to 1,000 other women. There were no other women. No competition. No pressure. No versions of her he wished she could be. He loved her not because she was the best option, but because she was the only truth. Bone of his bone. Flesh of his flesh. Love was identity, not performance. And Eve, she didn't walk into Adam's life trying to convince him she was worthy. She already was. She didn't have to look over her shoulder, wondering if he still found her attractive. If he was texting someone else. If she was being compared to women with surgically sculpted bodies and algorithmically shaped faces. In Eden, there was no insecurity. Because there was no scarcity. Love wasn't earned, it was given. Fully. without suspicion, without calculation. But now, look at us. We live in a world where love has become a negotiation, where relationships feel like business deals, where people talk about return on investment, and romance often feels like a gamble, with odds stacked against sincerity. Picture Adam today, opening a dating app, not a garden, scrolling through faces like options on a menu, not searching for connection, but stimulation, not seeking covenant, but convenience. And imagine Eve, not walking in divine confidence, but filtering her pictures, editing her skin, adjusting her body, standing under the pressure of unrealistic beauty standards that scream, "You're not enough as you are." Love, once a sanctuary, has become a battlefield of insecurities, where people love with one hand and prepare for heartbreak with the other, where vulnerability is a risk and transparency feels like exposure. Yet the memory of Eden lingers. That original connection, raw, pure, unmasked, still calls to us. Because deep down, every soul remembers what it feels like to be fully seen and still fully loved. So the question grows louder. If Adam met Eve today, would they recognize each other through the noise of modern expectations? Would their connection survive the endless distractions, the voices of insecurity, the echo of comparison? Or would they lose what was once effortless to a world that makes love harder than it needs to be? Welcome to 2026. A world where we are more connected than ever before, yet more disconnected than humanity has ever been. A strange world, where people can FaceTime across continents, but cannot look each other in the eyes at dinner. Where hearts speak less, and screens speak more. Here, love floats in the airwaves, encoded in emojis, delivered through blue ticks, and often broken by silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that stings through unanswered messages and conversations that die mid-sentence. We've built a generation that can text all night, but struggles to communicate in person. A generation that calls it talking, when it's just two people sending paragraphs they don't have the courage to say face-to-face. A generation that learned how to express affection without ever learning how to sustain connection. Now imagine Adam and Eve stepping into this world. Imagine them trying to love in an age where attention is currency and loyalty is seen as optional. Would they understand ghosting? Would they understand disappearing simply because emotions got too real? Because someone felt overwhelmed? Because the world taught them that avoiding pain is easier than committing to love? Picture Adam waiting for a reply from Eve, staring at those 3 flashing dots, and then nothing. Or Eve scrolling through Adam's page, seeing him following new women, liking photos that don't look anything like her, and wondering if she is suddenly not enough. This is the age of comparison, where love is measured systematically against strangers whose lives are perfectly packaged, where people compare their partners to filtered smiles, edited bodies, and manufactured moments of happiness. It is the age where one argument can dissolve months of connection, where small misunderstandings turn into massive emotional distances, and where hearts break quietly because everyone is afraid to say, "I need you." Today's world teaches us to expect more than we give, to protect ourselves before we trust, to replace instead of repair, to run instead of stay. And in this cycle, the sacredness of love is lost. Slowly, silently. If Adam and Eve lived today, their love would be tested, not by forbidden fruit, but by distractions wrapped in temptation. The pull of scrolling, the lure of validation, the intoxicating freedom of unlimited options. But here's the tragedy. We are drowning in options, yet starving for connection. We have more ways to talk, but fewer ways to truly listen. We have more partners available than ever before, yet fewer relationships built to last. So ask yourself, would Adam and Eve survive this world of fragile affection, of overwhelming expectations, of love that is easily gained and easily discarded? Or would they, like so many today, discover that in the age of disconnection, it's not temptation that destroys love, it's distraction. Every generation has its own version of the fall. In Eden, it was a fruit, a moment of curiosity, temptation, and persuasion. But in 2025, our forbidden fruit glows. It vibrates. It pings. It fits in the palm of our hands and steals our attention one scroll at a time. The forbidden fruit today isn't about good and evil. It's about distraction. A silent drift that pulls hearts apart. Not with dramatic betrayal, but with quiet, consistent neglect. Picture Eve. Not standing before a tree, but standing before a screen. Endless feeds, flashing images. 1,000 digital voices offering her 1,000 versions of herself. Voices whispering, "You can be better. You can look better. You deserve more." And she starts to wonder, is the life she has enough? And imagine Adam. Not watching over a garden, but watching videos. Chasing digital highs. Consumed by entertainment. Comparing himself to men with chiseled bodies. Bigger platforms, louder lives. He scrolls not because he doesn't love Eve, but because distraction slowly becomes easier than devotion. This is the modern fall. Not a dramatic act of rebellion, but a subtle shift of the heart. A slow fading of presence. A gentle drifting away from the person you were once fully available to. And the whispers haven't changed. Back then, you'll be like God. Today, you can do better. You're missing out. Someone out there will love you more. And suddenly the garden, once a place of peace and partnership, starts to feel too small for two hearts chasing the world. But here's the truth we rarely admit. Many relationships don't die from betrayal. They die from distraction. They die when moments meant for connection are replaced with mindless scrolling. When words meant for each other are poured into comment sections in strangers' inboxes. When comfort is sought from a screen instead of a partner. If Adam and Eve lived today, their serpent might not speak in hisses. It might speak in vibrations. Push notifications. Endless recommendations. Crafted to keep them hooked. Never present. Never satisfied. Imagine the arguments. You're always on your phone. I'm listening, relax. I didn't see your message. I'll be with you in a second. Seconds become minutes. Minutes become emotional distance. Distance becomes resentment. And all the while, neither realizes they are losing each other to a device that was never meant to replace intimacy. The fall in 2025 is not about sin. It's about saturation. Hearts so overwhelmed, so overstimulated, they forget how to love slowly, deeply, patiently. So ask yourself, if Adam and Eve were here today, would the serpent defeat them again? Not through deception, but through distraction. For all our technology, for all our achievements, for all the noise we have created around romance, the truth is simple. Human beings still ache for real love. Not the loud kind. Not the performative kind. Not the kind you post to make others jealous. But the quiet, steady, enduring type that holds you when the world feels too heavy. Love has never disappeared. It has simply been buried under comparison, urgency, ego, and exhaustion. We scroll for hours looking for distraction, while what we truly crave is connection. We chase validation from strangers, while longing to be understood by just one soul. But maybe, just maybe, we've been searching in the wrong places. Real love is rarely found in the loudest rooms or the trendiest spaces. It's not discovered in perfectly edited pictures or romantic quotes posted at midnight. True love hides in simplicity, in two people choosing each other, even when life gets inconvenient, in staying when leaving feels easier, in conversations that heal, not arguments that score points. If Adam met Eve in 2025, their love might not look glamorous. It might not sparkle with Instagram perfect aesthetics. It might not trend, go viral, or fit into the modern idea of a power couple. But it would be grounded, rooted, real. Because true love isn't built on chemistry alone. Chemistry is the spark. Love is the structure. Chemistry excites you. Love transforms you. Picture Adam and Eve in our time. Not flawless. Not fairy tale perfect. But authentic. Two people learning each other's wounds. Understanding each other's histories. Choosing patience over pride. Choosing honesty over ego. Love in 2025 is possible. But it requires discipline. The kind of discipline that chooses presence over distraction. Vulnerability over pretending. Forgiveness over silent resentment. Real love is formed in moments that the world doesn't applaud. The late-night apologies. The gentle understanding after a rough day. The small sacrifices that say, I choose you, even when I don't feel like it. And perhaps that is the miracle of love. It doesn't need the perfect environment to grow. It only needs willingness. It only needs two hearts, stubborn enough to believe that commitment still matters. The world might say love is outdated. That commitment is too risky. That monogamy is too demanding. That vulnerability is too dangerous. But the world has always been wrong about the things that matter most. If Adam and Eve lived today, they might struggle. Yes. They might misunderstand each other. Yes. But if they anchored their love, not in fleeting emotions, but in deep, intentional connection, they would stand. They would endure. Because real love doesn't trend. It transforms. It doesn't promise perfection. It promises growth. And in a world hungry for something real, two imperfect people choosing each other daily is still the greatest revolution. Every generation thinks its struggles are new. But the truth is, we are all just replaying Eden. Different tools. Different temptations. Same human heart. Same longing for connection. Same battle between love and distraction. At the center of every great love story, biblical or modern, is a choice. The choice to build or to break. To stay or to stray. To forgive or to hold on to hurt. Adam and Eve faced it first. Not the choice between fruit and obedience, but the deeper choice. The choice to trust love enough to stay united in the face of fear, shame, and the unknown. And that same choice faces every couple today. But here's the good news. Love was never meant to be carried by human strength alone. It was designed to be carried by God. Because the truth is simple. The love that survives generations is the love anchored in something eternal. Something higher than feelings. Stronger than conflict. And deeper than the wounds we carry. Feelings fluctuate. Attraction changes. Life throws storms that don't ask for permission. And the world is ruthless in its ability to break what isn't rooted. But the love that flows from God, that is different. It doesn't rise and fall with mood swings. It doesn't evaporate when convenience disappears. It doesn't crumble under pressure. It redeems. It restores. It rebuilds. Imagine Adam and Eve today. Not holding on by willpower, but anchored by something divine. Imagine them praying together. Learning forgiveness not from influencers, but from Christ himself. Learning humility, honor, and patience. Not from trends, but from truth. Modern relationships often fail. Not because people don't love each other, but because they try to do love without the one who created it. The author of love never changes. The same breath that formed Adam. The same compassion that covered Eve. The same grace that restored humanity. That same presence still enters living rooms. Still heals broken hearts. Still breathes life into relationships that feel worn out and overwhelmed. And this is where the world gets it wrong. The world teaches us love is about finding the perfect person. The kingdom teaches us love is about becoming the right person. The world teaches us to chase chemistry. The kingdom teaches us to cultivate character. The world teaches convenience. The kingdom teaches commitment. So if Adam and Eve lived in 2025, their love would survive not because they were perfect, but because they were anchored. Because they would understand that love isn't just romance. It's redemption. Two imperfect people made whole through a perfect God. And in this truth lies our hope. That no matter how chaotic the world becomes, the one who defined love still holds it together. And now, we come full circle. A story that began in Eden returns to its quiet beginning. Not with noise. Not with chaos. But with a question. The same question that has echoed through centuries of human hearts. If Adam met Eve in 2025, would they still stay together? We've seen their innocence, their challenges, their distractions, and their choices. We've walked with them. From the silence of Eden to the noise of our modern world. We've watched them navigate. Temptation wrapped in notifications. Comparison disguised as opportunity. And desires dressed as self-improvement. But now the scene rewinds. The arguments fade. The distractions dissolve. The noise quiets. And we're back to a garden. Symbolic, pure, untouched. A reminder of what love once was. Before the world complicated it. In that stillness, Adam reaches for Eve's hand. Not because she is flawless. Not because he is certain. But because even after everything, connection still matters. Love still calls. Two hearts still find their way back to the truth they were designed for. And maybe, just maybe, that's the message hidden inside the question. It was never really about Adam and Eve. It was about us. About the choices we make. About the love we build or break. About the distractions we allow. And the devotion we neglect. About the gardens we abandon while searching for greener grounds that only exist in imagination. So perhaps the real question isn't, would they survive 2025? Perhaps the real question is, can we? Can we learn to love? In a world designed to divide our attention? Can we choose connection? In a culture built on convenience? Can we protect love? In a time where everything feels replaceable? Because at the end of the day, love has always been a decision. Not an accident. Not an algorithm. Not a stroke of luck. A decision to stay. To learn. To forgive. To evolve. If Adam and Eve teach us anything, it is that love is not about perfection. It is about pursuit. Two flawed humans choosing each other. Again and again. Despite the whispers. Despite the fears. Despite the world. And maybe that's why their story still matters. Because deep down, we all want to know if lasting love is still possible. And the answer, whispered through time, through scripture, through every couple who has ever fought to stay together, is yes. This is the Great Question Project, where we rediscover truth, challenge assumptions, and awaken the soul, one question at a time. Until the next episode, choose love, choose depth, choose truth.